On the 550th day of the war in Ukraine, the fighting was concentrated in these areas. On the Zaporizhzhia front, heavy battles remain concentrated in the Robotyne Verbove sector. During the last 24 hours, Ukrainian forces advanced about 6 square kilometers in the areas northwest of Verbove. As I reported yesterday, here the Ukrainian forces are making efforts to expand their control along the Novopokrovka-Novofedorivka line in order to prevent any possible counterattacks by the Russian forces on the eastern flank. As reported by the Ukrainian source Deep State, the Ukrainian artillery has full fire control and is hitting the Russian positions inside Verbove, causing heavy casualties to the Russian forces. Ukrainians also advanced west and southwest of Verbove. Today, some Russian sources acknowledge that the Ukrainians reached the main line of the Russian defense in this direction. Ukrainian forces reported that during the night, Russian troops attempted a series of counterattacks along the entire line of contact, but according to Ukrainians, the Russian attacks were stopped. According to sources from both sides, heavy battles took place on the other side of the front in the Kopani-Nesteryanka sector. Here, surprisingly, sources from both sides reported that their forces stopped all the enemy attacks. It seems that the western flank is very likely to become more active in the following days. Despite the contradicting reports from Russian and Ukrainian sources, it seems that the Russian forces may be attempting to advance east and southeast of Kopani in order to slow down the Ukrainian offensive towards Novoprokopivka. On the other hand, Ukrainian forces may be responding with counterattacks towards Nesteryanka to pin down the Russian forces in this direction. On Vremivka front, no major territorial changes are reported, but it is expected that in the following days there will be significant developments on this front. For quite some time, Ukrainian sources have informed that the Ukrainian army is gradually gaining the upper hand on this front, and that the problem of the lack of Russian artillery in this direction is becoming more and more obvious to the Russian troops on the ground. Currently, the Ukrainian forces on this front are in a condition of a fire superiority which has been increasing during the last weeks. This was also confirmed today by Russian units who operate on this front. Russian troops say that lately the Ukrainian artillery is dominating the entire area and that the Russian artillery is not able to provide decent cover for their troops. During the last few days, the Ukrainian army has tested the Russian defense in the direction of Priutne, where it is anticipated that the Ukrainian forces will soon launch a powerful attack. At the same time, Ukrainians are preparing for another offensive on the Russian positions in Novodonetsk. In this direction, the Russian defense is in a rather weak state. The Ukrainian forces must advance on both sides of the front to penetrate both flanks, cut the Russian supply lines, and then launch an attack from the eastern and western flanks on the key city of Staromlinivka. On Bakhmut front, clashes continue in the southern part of the front in the areas between Klishchiivka and Kurdyumivka. As seen on this geolocated image published by the Ukrainian sources, elements of the Ukrainian Special Police Forces advanced inside Klishchiivka, clearing positions in the center of the village. On this video, the forces of the Safari Assault Regiment are seen operating in the central part of Klishchiivka. Northwest of the village, Ukrainian sources reported about another attack of the Russian forces, but according to Ukrainians, Russians were unable to gain any ground. According to Ukrainian sources, after failing to take full control of Klishchiivka, the Russian command is transferring new reinforcements to this front, since some of their airborne units who were operating in this area have been transferred to the Robotyne sector because the situation there is considered to be even more critical for the Russian forces. The Ukrainian army continued to probe the Russian defenses in the direction of Kurdyumivka and Andrivka, but there are no reports of any advances in this direction. Friends, if you like my daily updates, I kindly ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as this will greatly help the channel to reach a wider audience. That's all for today's update. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and have a great day.